Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Hopkinson. I am the project manager at the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division, also known as MassDOT, headquarters in Boston. In this public hearing, we're going to talk about the proposed bridge replacement project at River Street over the North Nashua River in Fitchburg. Due to COVID-19 precautions, this live virtual presentation will replace our usual in-person design public hearing. In a few moments, I will introduce the panel who will present the project. But first, I want to turn it over to Hung Pham, our facilitator, who will go over the basics of how this live virtual design public hearing will work. Hung?
Thank you, Matt. I just want to say my name is Hung Pham. I am here with my co-producer, Joe Yu. On the lower left of your screen, you will see the drop-down menu for your microphone as well as the speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation at all, you can always type your questions in and ask the question answer icon and share your comments and questions. The raise your hand icon is for verbalizing your questions and comments at the end of the presentation. If you're unable to have access to your internet or have technical problems, you can always call us with the number that was provided with the webinar ID. And if you have any technical issues with Zoom as a whole, you can always call the 1888 number on the right-hand side. Closed captioning is automatically generated by Zoom. Please note that these closed captioning are not accurate and precise. I just also want to inform you that this virtual public hearing will be recorded. The Massachusetts Department of Transportation will choose to retain and distribute the video, still images, audio, and/or chat transcript. By continuing attendance with this virtual public meeting, you are consenting to participate in the recorded event. All recordings and chat transcript will be considered a public record. If you are not comfortable with any of the being recorded as a whole, please turn off your camera and mute your mic, and refrain from chatting in the transcript box. Otherwise, you can just excuse yourself from the meeting. It is important to note that your microphone and webcam are automatically disabled upon entering the meeting. The meeting will be open to questions and answers at the end of the presentation. Please take time to respond to our surveys at the end of the presentation. Your feedback is very important to us. All questions and comments are welcome and appreciated. However, we have to note that please be respectful with your comments. And I will hand it back to Matt to talk about the project as a whole.
Okay, we have a full agenda tonight. After I introduce the panel and make sure that you know where the project is, I'll describe our goals and schedule for both design and construction. I'll then walk you through the proposed improvements. Then the Right-of-Way Bureau will describe what happens if your property is affected during or after construction. After a brief discussion of environmental impacts and permits, we will describe how the project will affect the road user. A handout has been prepared and posted to the MassDOT website along with the link to this presentation. In it, you will find documentation which may be useful to you in understanding the project and for submitting formal comments in response to this presentation. The notice of hearing is included on page 2 of the handout. This notice appeared in the Worcester Telegram and Gazette and the Sentinel Enterprise on November 24th and December 2nd, 2021. A copy of this notice will be attached in the final hearing transcript. In addition, with the help of the City of Fitchburg, meeting notice flyers were translated into Spanish and the flyers were sent out to interested groups. The purpose of holding hearings is to provide a method whereby the Commonwealth of Massachusetts can furnish information to the public concerning the state's highway construction proposals and to afford an opportunity for you to be heard. At the same time, the hearing affords the Commonwealth an additional opportunity to receive information from local sources which would be of value to the state in making its final decisions as to what design should be advanced for development. After the presentation, I will go over the next steps and present your options for providing input following the hearing. Hung will describe the procedures for making comments and asking questions during the meeting. Introductions. I have already introduced myself, Matt Hopkinson, and the facilitator, Hung Pham. Also facilitating or producing this is Joe Yu of Mass DOT. Our stenographer, who will be preparing a written verbatim transcript of the presentation, is David Frazier of Arlington Typing and Mailing. Representing Mass DOT right-of-way is Melissa O'Day. And for our design team, we have Anil Kurian, the STV project manager. So back up, please. The project is located at the northern of two crossings of the North Nashua River. The north end of the project ends at the roundabout on Main Street. As one travels south over the bridge, Crocker Field is on the left and Dunkin' Donuts is on the right. So how did we get here? In August of 2017, funding was identified for the bridge replacement project. In April of 2020, the bridge type selection process was complete and the 25% plan submission was approved in November 2021. Today, we present this project as the last step in the 25% design process. We estimate the total project will cost $6.5 million, which will come from the Mass DOT budget. If federal funding sources are identified, Mass DOT may use that funding source, which would provide up to 80% of the cost. The total estimated cost of the project does not include any right-of-way acquisition costs. Why was this project initiated? This is why we are replacing the bridge. The sidewalks are deteriorated. The underside of the deck is cracked and shows signs of water seeping through, and the concrete is falling from the outside fascia. Underneath, the steel beams are deteriorating, the utility buildouts are spalling, and the abutments are cracked. So what do we want to accomplish? Of all the bridge, the center pier is in good shape and worth keeping. Piles will be driven behind the abutments to support the new bridge deck and beams. Using the latest Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, design standards, we will update the sidewalks and approaches. Bridge rail design is constantly evolving, and we will use the latest crash-tested rails. Going forward, our schedule is, we're here today, December of 2021, at the design public hearing. The design will progress until spring of 2023, April of 2023, when we put the project out to bid. Construction will start in the fall of 2023, and we expect it to take about 2 years to complete. What are the proposed improvements? A new bridge designed to current standards with improved sidewalk configuration and 5-foot bike lanes. The black lines show the limits of our easements. The dark gray area shows the limits of new pavement. Light gray areas show the new sidewalks on either side of the bridge. And also you can see the brick colored crosswalks and island connecting to the existing sidewalks at the north end of the bridge. And you'll notice that the proposed cross-section will remain the same as it is today. Same lanes, etc. There will be additional utilities attached to the underside of the bridge, and the new steel bridge rail will be added. How will your property be impacted? Briefly, this will be the extent of easements we need to build a bridge. The red lines outline the fee taking, and the 2 yellow lines show the extent of temporary easements that expire after construction is completed. At this point, let me turn the presentation over to Melissa O'Day, who will describe the right-of-way process. Melissa?
Thank you, Matt. Good evening. My name is Melissa O'Day, and I represent the Right-of-Way Bureau of Mass DOT. The Right-of-Way Bureau is responsible for acquiring all necessary rights in private and public lands for design, construction, and implementation of this project. The current preliminary plans indicate that fee takings and temporary easements may be required. Other areas may require permanent easements. All affected property owners will be contacted by personnel from the Right-of-Way Bureau. Affected property owners' rights are protected under our Massachusetts general laws, primarily Chapter 79. If a project is receiving federal funds, the project owner's rights is further defined under Title III of the Real Property Acts of 1970 as amended. I will be happy to answer any questions in general. I will be happy to answer any general questions regarding the right-of-way activities during the open forum for questions, and I will be available after this public hearing for any specific questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. How will bicyclists and pedestrians be impacted? During stage 1 of construction, 1 sidewalk and 1 northbound travel lane will be open. And then pretty much the same thing during stage 2, but when we're done, there will be full access in both directions for bicycles, pedestrians, and automobiles. What are the environmental, cultural resource, and community impacts? Disturbed areas within the project will be restored, of course. In-water work, if any, will be limited. Access to Dunkin' Donuts driveways will be open during construction. Driving of steel piles during construction may cause some noise and vibration impacts to nearby businesses. The activities will be monitored, and affected businesses will be given advance notice before the activities begin. Crocker Field, adjacent to the project, will not be impacted. A temporary sewer bypass system will be put in place during construction as a cautionary measure during pile driving operations. For environmental permitting, we have Section 401 water quality certification through Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. We've submitted and we're awaiting their decision of applicability for that. Section 404 general permit through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Same, we're awaiting for their decision on applicability. Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. Mass DOT Cultural Resources Unit is handling that for us. And the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, we're producing a programmatic categorical exclusion through a partnership through Mass DOT and Federal Highway Administration. And then last, we have the Levee and Dam Safety Program approval, also through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which is in the works. What is the construction approach? We have touched on aspects of the construction approach already, but to reiterate, we expect to start construction in the fall of 2023. This is not to say we'll start closing down lanes at this point. There are a lot of preparations that need to be done before that, and I don't expect to see closings before the spring or early summer. So for proposed staging, here you're looking at a cross section through the bridge, up the bridge, looking south. And what's happening on this slide is on the far right, there's a utility bridge. It's a temporary utility bridge that we're constructing, and we're putting a sewer pipe on it. We don't intend to use it, but it's there just in case. If you look at the bottom of the colored section of the bridge, you'll notice that there's a 12-inch sewer pipe. That pipe runs under the bridge, underneath the river. And, you know, we are doing work under there. And if by some chance, you know, something happens to that pipe, we break it, we have a backup so that we don't have, you know, any downtime before we, you know, keep the sewer system running. So the red areas, okay, well, all right, on the far left, we have the existing portion of the bridge remains. That's where we have our traffic. We've got the sidewalk and the traffic lane. And then back to the colored portion, the red vertical lines are the piles we're driving to support the new abutment. And the gray area is the concrete. Of course, the deck is at the top. And for construction phase 2, pretty much the same thing. The portion on the right half of the colored area is what's already there now. And on the left is where we're doing the work. We demolish the old portion of the bridge and rebuild it the same as the first stage. And at that point, the bridge is pretty much complete. So how will the road user be affected? As mentioned earlier, northbound traffic will be maintained throughout construction. Southbound traffic will be detoured by continuing west on Main Street, which becomes West Street before one turns left onto Sheldon Street and back to River Street. And that will last, through the 2 stages of construction, up to 2 years. So our next steps, following tonight's hearing, we will incorporate comments where feasible, go through the necessary design steps leading to our planned advertisement in May of 2023. Input provided tonight will be part of the official written transcript. In addition, following the close of tonight's hearing, comments will be accepted for inclusion into the official hearing transcript for 10 days. Comments will still be accepted after that date as well. How will we keep you informed? This presentation was prepared for you, the public. The whole point is to keep you informed and for you to share your comments, questions, and concerns with us. We definitely want to hear from everyone. The first way to submit your input is during this hearing. If you don't submit your questions or comments during the presentation, there are other ways to submit. Email is the best at that email address at the top of the screen. Also, all of our hearing documents can be accessed at the same website that has the link to this presentation, including the handout. Note that scanning the QR code will bring you to that web page. Scroll down to the bottom for the handout link. The last page of the handout is an input form, which can be printed, filled out, and mailed. So before we start the Q&A, Hung is going to describe your options for providing input during this meeting. Hung?
Thank you, Matt. Once again, on the lower left-hand side, if you have any questions that you want to verbally ask, please raise your hand and we will unmute you and to allow you to verbally ask those questions. If you do not wish to verbally ask questions, you can submit your comments and questions through the Q&A button. Please state your name before asking your questions. And to ask a question via phone, please dial *9. Then the moderator will call your number out, the last 4 digits of your number, and then we will unmute you when it's your turn. Please take a few minutes to, we request that you take a few minutes to do the survey after this meeting to let us know how your experience has been during this whole meeting process. It is important that it's disclosed that this is a public record and all comments will be part of the official transcript at the end of the meeting. Matt, I'll hand it off to you for the final thank you.
Thanks, Hung. I would like to recognize Fitchburg Mayor Dina Talley and open the discussion to public officials before opening the question and comment session to the public. Mr. Mayor or other officials?
I do not think that the mayor's on.
No, I don't believe so.
So the first person who raised his hand is Sam, and I'm gonna unmute Sam to allow for to ask the comment. Sam.
All right, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Sam Squalia, City Councilor in Fitchburg. I just have one question. I missed the first 5 minutes, so I don't know if you addressed it, but we have a combined sewer overflow at that bridge, I believe, and I just wondering if I'm not sure if the city is planning on removing that before you start construction, or if we are just including that in this design.
I can answer that. We're not sure which is coming first either at this point, but we have been working with the city on not just this one, but also Circle Street and Water Street,
Yeah.
both of which cross the North Nashua River. And if we don't include it as part of the construction, we will make sure that there's an opening in the abutment that is large enough for any outflow that's required.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next person who has his hand raised is Nick. Nick, you are allowed to talk.
Thanks, everybody. My name is Nick Erickson, Interim Commissioner of Public Works with City of Fitchburg DPW. And you might have touched on it a little bit, but I was just wondering what the duration of construction is anticipated to be. Obviously, one of the concerns that we have is that between this bridge, Circle Street Bridge, and the Water Street bridges, in addition to many other construction projects happening throughout the city and anticipated due to the influx of ARPA funding, is the ability of constituents and DPW staff in particular who are housed just a quarter mile away or so down Broad Street to be able to navigate through the city. So obviously traffic impacts are going to be important. I was just wondering what the total duration of construction is anticipated to be for this specific bridge project.
I'll answer that one. This bridge, the Circle Street Bridge is going to be advertised first. That's going to be advertised in the middle of this summer. And that project will last one construction season. So hopefully there will be very little overlap between that and the start of construction for this bridge, which advertises in the fall of 2023, or the spring of 2023, but starts in the fall of 2023. So there may be some overlap in construction, but I think we can coordinate the two of those so that lane closures are not occurring at the same time. As you know, Circle Street is closed today, so it'd be nice to get that one out of the way before we start this. We're not counting on that for our detour, but people would probably like to use it. And then the Water Street Bridge is the advertising date for that one is not until 2024. So we should not have any conflicts between the projects. But of course, things happen during design and during construction that change our schedules. And we will, we have been very cognizant of that throughout the process. We will make sure that we don't create a big problem during construction.
Great, thank you, Matt. And
Nick Erickson, I apologize. I believe that I muted you.
oh, can you hear me?
I can. I'm sorry again.
Oh, no worries, Hung. So the only other question I had was regarding the water main that runs to the bridge. I'm not exactly sure of the age and condition of that main. I'd have to speak with the Deputy Commissioner of Water Supply to confirm. But if that main ends up being in need of replacement, is that something that we could work with Mass DOT on to incorporate either as a non-participating item in this project or potentially as something funded by Mass DOT?
Hung, can we go back to the cross-section slide of the project?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know the number, but I think that we're planning to relocate that anyway, just as part of the project. Is that the one that goes underneath the river as well as the sewer?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure about that, though.
Yeah, let me answer that. the existing water main goes under the river. And right now, our cross-section shows a new water main running, supported by the bridge.
So there's your answer. We plan to replace it anyway, so unless you want
Thanks,
to, yeah,
That's great news. Thanks, Matt.
you bet. If you want to upsize it or something, then that would be the only reason you'd need anything non-participatory.
Okay,
just
great.
I just want to say that that was Neil, who is our one of our design team members. I got some questions within the Q&A. John Kelly have asked if the DOT takes into account the severe difficulty the southbound division will cause the narrow neighborhood streets and corners of Sheldon Street for buses, fire trucks, and tractor trailers.
Yes, as part of our traffic studies that we do for any project, and particularly this one, we considered different scenarios that we would use. In this case, we determined that northbound traffic was the most important traffic to be handled. I think because of emergency vehicles, particularly ambulances, they need to be able to go northbound more quickly. And southbound, yeah, there will be a detour and there will be a delay. I'm not sure of the number of minutes of delay for that detour, but it's just part of life. We can't, in some instances, we can build a whole temporary bridge next to the project, but it's, you can imagine how expensive that is. Basically, we're building a new bridge and then building a second new bridge and then tearing down the first one. And typically, there's not enough room for that anyway. The bridge would have to go through, a couple of businesses, and so this is one of our standard approaches, is to do a stage construction. The other alternative that we use sometimes, but not in this case, is we will do accelerated bridge construction techniques, which we minimize the length of time that the road is closed, but the down part of that is that we completely close the bridge. Nothing gets across it. We tear the whole thing out and put it back in a week, or something, a short duration like that. But in this case, we elected to do northbound traffic throughout the project and to detour the southbound traffic.
Within the same comment, John asked that observing that the current railings seem appropriate for the city's industrial heritage and surroundings, will new railings depart significantly from that aesthetic quality?
What we've designed will look different. What's there now is not up to current safety standards, and we wouldn't be able to replace them in kind because of that. It wouldn't be appropriate. But what we do have is the tubing is a square tubing rather than a round tubing, and there's more of it. If that's something that's really important, I think there are alternatives that we can look at. We can work with the city and with interested people to see what the options are. But above all, safety is first, and we have to make sure that whatever we put in there is meets current crash standards.
I also have Paul, who has his hand raised. I'm going to allow Paul to talk. Paul?
Paul is still muted.
Are you there?
He seems to be muted still.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hi, my name is Paul Boschman. I'm a city councilor in Fitchburg. I got a question for you. I'm looking at this drawing right here, and you're proposing a 5-foot bike lane. Are you going to have a separation between the cars and the bike lane, like the curb or something like I've seen in other communities, like in Cambridge and that? where the person driving the bike feels safe?
Uh, No, we're actually not planning to do that. The bike lane is, we go through a fairly extensive design justification process. And in this case, in order to add more features like that, we would have to widen the bridge. And there really isn't room on either side of the bridge without some extensive takings of properties and reworking of driveways. But the 5-foot bike lane is consistent with the length of River Street to the south. The length of the road has a 5-foot bike lane, and that seems to be pretty new construction. And we elected to just keep it consistent rather than, we did look at widening the bike lane to 6 feet and narrowing the travel lanes, but that interferes with the intersection, the roundabout intersection to the north. So this is what we settled on.
All right. Well, that was the only reason why, yeah, because I thought the whole purpose of putting bike lanes in and that putting new sidewalks in is to get people to either ride bikes or do exercising. And a lot of people don't feel safe with cars right next to them when they're riding their bikes. So I think we're defeating the purpose, not in helping the purpose, if that's what the goal of Massachusetts is. But that's just my observations. I don't drive a bike. I'm too old for a bike. But
No.
I brought that question up.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that is a valid concern. Just keep in mind, of course, that, this project covers about 75 feet of the roadway, and, the rest of the road is fairly long. And so we could put some feature in there, perhaps. It would take a bit of reworking, but it wouldn't, overall, the overall lane wouldn't be, we wouldn't rebuild the whole rest of the thing. So it would be just a small improvement for a short section. But this is a 25% design, and you have valid concern. We will make sure that we cover that base and see what we can do.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Paul. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? I would like to remind our attendees that if you would like to provide written comments, please scan the QR codes to get to the handout as part of the project webpage. And in the handout, the last page, as Matt mentioned before, you will see directions to provide your comments and questions written to MassDOT.
Hung, can I ask you, this is being recorded. Do you know when it will be available for on the website for people to view?
I will be producing it or uploading it tonight, and we'll be sending it over to the town,
Yeah,
the city
the
of
cable
Fitchburg.
TV.
Yes, the city
Yeah,
of Fitchburg cable TV, and then we'll be sending it over to IT where they can upload the recording,
Okay, so
if anything, by
all right.
tomorrow.
Okay, so that, so anyone wants to review any portion of this will be able to see it on that same website, right?
That is correct, I believe. Yeah.
Give it a little time is all. Okay, I just thought people might be interested in that.
Is there anybody else who would like to provide comments or questions for the project?
All right, well, um,
Want to give it another 5 more minutes before we?
yeah, we can, we can give it a little bit more time. Let's go back to the cross section through the you know, the construction cross section. This one here, that one right
Mhm.
there. I just wanted to look at the, okay. Can you go to the next one, actually?
Okay.
Yeah, all right, so I see under the bridge, I see a sewer and an abandoned gas. Maybe Anil, you can tell me where the existing water main is? I mean, this is obviously the new construction. But.
Yeah, the water main kind of goes around the bridge on the, when you're looking at this drawing, it'll be on the left side.
Oh,
under the
yeah, that's
river.
right. That's right. It's not directly under the bridge. It's over
Yes.
to the left. Okay, yeah, but it's close enough that we're just going to put it on the bridge. And do you recall where it is, where it ends up on the bridge? It must be on the right over here.
Yeah, if you go
It's-
into the next slide, you call it out as a 10-inch water main. The next slide.
The next slide. Do you mean the slide before?
The slide before this is. See a 10-inch water main.
Okay.
right now.
Yep, okay. Okay. So that'll be good. That'll be a nice improvement. You know, it seems easier for us when all the, you know, utilities are not touching the bridge, but you know, in the end, if you've got to do any work on one of these pipes that goes under the river, it's not easy. So.
Once again, comments are welcome and appreciated. Just, I think that this is a great project and it's going to do the community some benefit.
Yeah,
And
looking
I
forward.
do- And I do not see any additional questions or raised hands. So Matt, why don't you?
Yeah, okay. Can we just
do-
go back to the comment slide right here and just so that everyone, in case they just need to take another look at this, they just got their phone out, want to scan that QR code to get the website. I think we'll just, if you can go to the next slide, I think or the last slide. Thank you all for your time tonight. And we're going to end the hearing right now. And like I said, comments, questions, anytime. Within 10 days, they'll get into the transcript. After 10 days, it won't get into the transcript, but we will entertain your questions anyway. And I'm going to end the hearing now at 7:38. Thank you all.